This podcast is brought to you by Anchor. Ladies, are you looking to get away from your man because you're tired of him bumbling about sports all day? Fellas, are you tired of hearing her complain to you about her friends you couldn't give two shits about? Everybody else who's single, let's face it, it's not going to get much worse from here. Well, I have a solution for all of you. Start a podcast with Anchor. It's free. No, seriously. It'll give you an excuse to get away from your annoying partner while also awarding you some much-needed personal time. Anchor is great because it allows you to easily record a podcast from your phone, computer, or tablet. What's even cooler is that Anchor will distribute your podcast so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so much more. Anchor allows you to make money from your podcast through ads like this. Also, making money from your ads requires no minimum listenership. So even if nobody listens to your podcast, and it sucks, it doesn't technically suck for you. Anchor is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Anchor can be available to download in the App Store, or if your life sucks again and you have an Android, it can also be found on Google Play. You can also go to anchor.fm to get started. That's anchor.fm. Now that you've heard everything I have to say about Anchor, go do me a favor and download it. And remember, it's free! Alrighty. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Luke Pipala Show. Currently, I don't have an intro. Like I said, this is episode 1. I'm brand new to this thing. So, I'm just kind of taking this day by day as it goes. Really trying to just get my feet wet when it comes to this stuff. And become a better podcaster, I guess you could say, as, the episodes go on. Today we have a pretty packed show, I will say, besides, obviously, the lack of a proper intro. There's a lot that's gone on this week. Drake dropped. We're going to talk about that. I had a little unfortunate situation in the woods, a first, shall we say. We'll talk about that. And the feminists are howling in Texas right now. We'll get to that soon, too. But here we go. Like I said, for lack of an intro, we'll just do it like this. So, the Luke Pipala Show, episode 1, coming in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. All right. Welcome to the Luke Pipala Show. I am Luke Pipala, and currently there's nobody else here. I'm single, as you could say, doing it by myself. Also single in real life too, but I like to say I'm single by choice. Maybe that's not true. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not true. Who knows? Right? But we're just trying to have fun. I'm just trying to have fun with my current situation. I have a lot of instances in my life where it's like I kind of pause and I take a second to look back from afar and just like observe it from a different angle. And I've done some pretty stupid shit, I'm not going to lie to you. There's something that I kind of could have avoided this past week that I did. But for whatever reason, it just didn't materialize. So, let me give you guys a rundown. It was Thursday, right? And my Aunt Sandy, God bless her. I love my Aunt Sandy. I'm going to shout her out on the podcast. She probably won't even, hear it. I don't think she, listens to Spotify or anything on Spotify, but still, I love her. She's great. So she needed me to help her out on Thursday, right? She needed 2 small bushes trimmed, and I co-own a lawn care and landscaping company with my brother and my best friend, so I have a lot of experience when it comes to landscaping, bush trimming, hedge trimming, stuff like that, right? I told her no problem, I do it for free. So I get there, and, I'm trimmed the first one. I made it look really good. You know what I'm saying? I made it look very good. I trimmed the first one, no problem, right? I get the second one. I'm halfway done, and then she comes out. Obviously, we talked beforehand. She came out again, and she, said, thank you so much. You're doing a great job. I really appreciate it. She also said she has, like, this problem with her hip. Right, so she took a sleeping pill, or not a sleeping pill, but like some pill to help with the pain and stuff like that. She said there's a chance that it'll make her, a little bit tired. And she said, just in case she falls asleep, she wanted to thank me for everything and say goodbye just in case she fell asleep. Whatever. And so, okay, she went inside, and then I'm under the impression that she's just asleep inside, okay? But there was a problem, right? So when I drink coffee, I don't know, this is like something that everybody else experiences, but when I drink coffee, usually a couple hours later, the thing that comes is this strong urge to go to the bathroom. And we're not talking number one, if you know what I mean. Right? So I had coffee that morning around like 10 o'clock. I did this around 12:30, 1 o'clock, right? So obviously it lined up perfectly, unfortunately. So I'd been sort of fighting it off and sort of like thinking it out of my system, if that makes sense. But when I was almost done with the second bush, it became unavoidable. Like, we're talking, I don't even know how to describe it. There was just a storm brewing inside my stomach, and eventually it was just going to burst. So I had a couple options. But I kept trying to push it away, right? But the problem was, it got to a point where it was inevitable that I was going to shit my pants. Okay, so once I accepted that fact that I was definitely going to poop, I had a couple options, right? Option one, I could drive to the nearest department store or just public bathroom in general, right? And I could take my poop, take my dump, do my thing, feel better, come back, finish the job, whatever, take off. It didn't work like that because the nearest public bathroom was like 3 miles away. It was a residential area surrounded by a lot more neighborhood, right? And that was a problem. There were traffic lights, stuff like that too. So I wouldn't have been able to get there in time. I would have pooped my pants in my car, which probably wouldn't have been a good experience. I mean, I don't know. Never done it before, but I would assume it's not a good experience. Okay, so option two was I go inside my Aunt Sandy's house, risk waking her up and scaring the crap out of her because she has dogs and the dogs would have barked immediately. And I didn't want to create that situation. I don't want to scare her. So there was only one more option. I'm going to have to poop in her yard. I know. It was a very, very, very last minute, last resort, emergency help kind of choice. I said I couldn't do that. However, I was thinking, okay, where's the nearest place that I could kind of get some privacy, right? I see her shed. I think, perfect. But I think, hold on. What am I going to wipe with? Immediately, just like that, by the grace of God, I had an idea. I was going to go to my car. Hopefully there was going to be some sort of paper that I could wipe with. And then I was going to go to my little spot, do my business, right? So at this point, I'm like hunched over. I'm like half of my size right now because I really have to go. So I stagger across the front lawn, right? Almost to the point where I was crawling as fast as I could. The neighbors probably thought, what is this jackass doing, right? But still, I get there, I unlock my car, I open the glove box. Alas, I see 2 lone Chipotle napkins, excuse me. I'm thinking, perfect. Hopefully this isn't a messy one, right? So then I stagger, okay? I'm hunched over once again. I'm staggering to the shed, okay? And I go behind. And right as I'm about to pull my pants down, I say, shit. The neighbor who's cutting his grass, if he looks to the slightest left, right, he'll see me. And he'll see my butt. He'll see me waist down. And I don't want that. I look to my other side, right? The backyard of the house, the neighbor, if he would have went to the back window, he would have been able to see me too. No privacy, right? Okay, so now what was I going to do? I was screwed. And it didn't help that I was wearing a bright neon long sleeve shirt. Because I wasn't thinking, right? I would have been so recognizable just like that. Okay? However, there was this brushy area, right? Behind my Aunt Sandy's backyard. So I go behind that. But still, there's a chance that I'm seen. I found this tree, this dead tree, hid behind it. So now there was the hard part. Hard part was gone. So I simply squatted down, pulled down my pants, and did my thing. And let me tell you something. That was one of the most liberating things that I've ever done. I'm serious. I really didn't think that I'd enjoy it. But that was one of the most liberating things that a human being could ever do. I felt like these generations of previous human beings in me from the Stone Ages. It felt so natural. Honest to God, squatting down and taking a shit in the woods is more comfortable than sitting on a porcelain toilet and doing your thing. I firmly believe that, right? So of course though, this was a clean one, thank God. It wasn't a messy one. I pulled out my Chipotle napkin, one corner, or one wipe for each corner rather, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Threw it on the ground. Take it out, another one. 1, 2. That was it. Throw it away. So I'm still squatted over. I'm giving, myself some time to decompress and stuff like that. Like everybody does, okay? And I hear these noises. And I'm like, what is that? And there's 6 flies after 5 or so minutes swarming around my poop, my droppings. Okay, if we want to be politically correct. And it was so bizarre. I immediately pulled up my pants because I was thinking, what if one of these things crawled inside my butthole? That would be disgusting. Fortunately, that didn't happen. But after that, I went straight to my car and I got all the hand sanitizer that I could get. And I just rubbed it on my hands for a period of 10 minutes or so. It was one of the weirdest, but then again, coolest feelings that you could ever have as a human being. In terms of the sense of accomplishment. Honest to God, that was awesome. Honestly, I feel like, how when girls get their first period and it's an accomplishment, like the mom's crying and it's oh, my baby girl's growing up. It's celebrated. I feel like this is a bigger achievement than that, honest to God. This is your first poop in the woods is something so special, in my opinion. I just feel like it surpasses that milestone and a bunch of other milestones too, like your first walk, your first steps, I should say, the first words that you say, the first time you take a shit in the woods. It's just so surreal, and you get this sense of achievement, like I said, and you feel accomplished, and it's liberating. That's really it. So I highly recommend taking a shit in the woods, honest to God. You won't regret it. Unless, of course, you wipe your butt with a leaf. Then you'll probably regret it. But that was my my little first for the week. I'm trying to find my fall fling. And we're starting. I'm on the journey, shall we say. Basically, what a fall fling is exactly what the word entails, right? Find somebody to go on dates with, right? A girl. Not that I don't like dudes like that, but I just don't go that way. You know what I mean? Not to say that there's anything wrong with it. I'm fully here for the community. It's just not my preference, you know what I mean? So that's that. But I like to find a girl, like I said, to go on dates with, preferably blonde, because that's my type. But it doesn't matter. She could be brunette, Redheads, spawn of Satan, it's But like I said, if it's the right one, if she's the right girl, she's the right girl. Woman, I should say. If she's the right woman, she's the right woman, So once I find my fall fling, we'll date for a few months. We'll go on dates for a few months, whatever. And then when it comes to the winter, that'll be the deciding factor. Do we make it official? Because I like to get some time to get to know this girl. Right? Are we on the same wavelength? Do our personalities interlock? You know what I mean? Do we have compatible personalities? These are all factors in the potential suitorship, I guess you could say, for myself. But like I said, I'm single by choice. By choice. As of now. But I'm actively sort of pursuing, I guess you could say, currently. So. But that was that. That was my week. So. Ooh, I have a sneeze coming on. It's like one of those things where like you don't know if you're gonna sneeze or not. Oh, here it comes. Ooh. Oh. I bit my lip. I bit my lip on the sneeze. I'm not gonna cap. That hurt. Wow. Oh. Anyway. Also, was at the fair tonight. And so that's why you hear me sniffling, because they had horses. And I'm allergic to horses. So I found that out when I was little, believe it or not. You see, my parents, my mom in particular, I feel a sneeze coming again. Oh, crap. Oh. No? Am I going to sneeze or am I not going to sneeze? It's one of those things. Alright. That must have sounded disgusting. I apologize. Anyway, my mom in particular is, she's one of those people where, like, she forces stuff. If that makes sense. Like, if, she won't baby you. So for me, if something's ever wrong, I tend to, be vocal about it, right? As a lot of people are. So basically, when that comes to injuries, or anything that's like, it's coming on again, I apologize. When that comes to like injuries and stuff like that, or something that's like potentially harmful, she's like, oh no, walk it off, you're cool. Well, my mom must not have gotten the hint that I was allergic to horses until like I was 15. Every festival I go to when I was little, she put me on those rotating horses, and I would just suffer. Like, it was terrible. We're talking about sneezing, eyes red, very itchy, scratching my my skin. Like, it was just awful. And she never got the idea that I was allergic to horses. She never got the message. We would go to different places on, like, summer vacations and stuff like that. And she literally picked a horse and buggy when we could have had, like, a trolley tour instead. And I'd just be coughing, sneezing, rubbing my eyes. I'd be miserable. And she'd be like, oh, what's wrong? I don't know, Mom. I think I'm allergic to horses. You know what I mean? Like, I just never put two and two together. So finally she must have understood, and that's that. My mother is she's an interesting creature. I'll say that. She trained myself and my brothers like dogs. What do I mean? Well, for example, every time I walk in the house now, my house, which I live with my parents, by the way, I'm 20 years old. And every time I walk in the house, I hear my mom say, wash your hands! Wash them! Like, literally, oh my gosh, wash your hands! Every time I walk in the door immediately, because, you know, when you're little, you don't think, right? And so I used to not wash my hands sometimes when I would come home. No big deal, right? Even if we were, like, in the car and, like, I never got out, I didn't touch anything outside, whatever. Wash your hands, Luke! Like, literally. And I just hear this in my head on and on and on until I wash my hands. So she conditioned me like an animal. And I obey. I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense to me. I like to say that my mom was COVID crazy before COVID was even a thing. So call that, you know, what you will. But it's just interesting. She's a clean freak. And she's been a clean freak for a minute, so yeah. Speaking of women, though, how about what's going on in Texas? Wow. So basically, anybody who hasn't been, I guess, following the subject, I'll put it plain for you, or blunt for you. So basically what they're doing is the Supreme Court passed a 5-4 decision, I believe. Sorry, the allergies are just killing me right now. But I got a warrior spirit. I'll be all right. Basically, what they're doing is they voted 5-4 to make abortions illegal after 6 weeks. So there's been a lot of backlash, especially from the feminist community, and the ones with the short buzzed hair in particular are furious, let me tell you. And rightfully so. The government is telling them that they can't do something. And you know, me personally, I don't believe abortion is right, okay? I was raised Catholic, went to Catholic school, attend mass, stuff like that, Catholic family, whatever. So, like, that's where my views come from when it comes to that subject. So I personally don't support abortion. However, I also don't support the government telling you what you can and cannot do, right? For example, last time I checked, right, I didn't have a uterus. Maybe if I check tomorrow, I'll have one. But last time I checked, I don't. So I don't have the right to tell other women what to do with their uterus, if that makes sense. Okay? I can believe whatever I want to believe about it, but as an American citizen, I can't tell another American citizen what to do. It's like that with anything, right? For example, health officials, right? We don't have fat health officials telling healthy Americans what to do when it comes to their health, right? Oh, wait, yes, we do. The past month or year and a half, it shows you that. There's several overweight medical officials in the leadership when it comes to health in the United States. They're just obese, telling people to wear masks and get vaccinated. Whether you want to or not, you know what I mean? And it's just funny. Yeah. I think we should have it both ways, either way. But me personally, I'm on the side of freedom and being able to make your own decisions. So let's just let people do what they want, you know? And it's been kind of funny because the progressive left or the liberal left, whatever you want to label them as, the left, they've been flipping it on Republicans, saying, "Oh, I thought that we should be able to make our own decisions," because that's what they've been fighting for the past however many months that the vaccine's been out. Been saying, "Oh, I thought we should be able to make our own decisions. Why can't it be our body, our choice?" And rightfully so. They do make a compelling point. And this is the box that politicians often get put in when it comes to them becoming hypocrites and stuff like that, and not following up their word entirely, and not practicing what they preach. So in regards to that, I think it's not constitutional. It's not right, personally. We can't have the government telling us what to do and how to act and how to live our lives, right? Because then we move closer and closer to something that resembles Nazi Germany or communist Russia or Stalin or whatever. Even though Stalin wasn't communist Russia. I meant Mussolini. It's been a long day. So let's just remember that. Keep that in mind. And let's not tell anybody what to do. Because, like I said, oftentimes when one finger is pointing one way, 3 are pointing back at you. So, like, you know what I mean? Or something like that. I don't know. But that's where I stand on that. I don't agree with it, but at the same time, we can't tell people what to do. So, that's that. But in other news, Drake dropped the greatest musician, artist, rapper of all time, Aubrey Drake Graham, dropped Certified Lover Boy this past Friday. And holy shit, that album slapped. For anybody that said Drake is done, he's on the decline, the album was mid, your guys' all opinions are ass, right? You're not good at analyzing music. You obviously don't know what good music is. You just don't, okay? let me tell you a little bit about what the album has accomplished in less than 3 days, okay? In one day, Certified Lover Boy surpassed everything, broke the Spotify single-day record in terms of streaming for an album. It did the same thing on Apple Music. On Apple Music, it debuted so he had 21 songs, right? All of them debuted in the top 21 in the top 100 charts everywhere. So that happened. And then his album was, how did I say? They said it was the most streamed all time on Spotify, if I'm correct. So that was big. Check me on that. I'm not too sure about that. I may have misread it. They also say he's projected to sell around 650,000 copies for the album this week, which would be the most by far of any album this year. So that's pretty cool. He's also expected to debut his album #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart for albums. Also expected to debut 9 songs from his album in the Billboard Top 100 and the Top 10. So that's another thing. And he keeps breaking records. These are all firsts that have never happened before. So keep saying that the album is mid. Keep saying that Drake is falling off. But the fact is that people keep wanting to listen to him. The fact is that he's better than he ever was in terms of all of these records, right? More people are listening to Drake now than they ever were. So you can't say that he's not good. You can't say that he's falling off. He's just hitting his peak. Me personally, I feel like Certified Lover Boy is probably right now, I think it's better than Scorpion. It's better than Views. And that says a lot because Views is my favorite album to listen to front to back from Drake. Yeah, in terms of albums, I think it is better than Thank Me Later. It competes with Nothing Was the Same and Take Care. I think it's the third best in terms of his albums. Now, in terms of projects, it's either third or fourth best. If you're reading this, it's too late. It's right there with that as well. So Drake returned to form. If you thought he was back, I mean, if you thought he was down, he's back. So that's that. But yeah, so that's the podcast, really. Like I said, it's a first one. I gotta get a lot figured out. I gotta get the sound figured out. I gotta get the content overall figured out, right? This is just kind of like a rough draft of a paper, right? You're kind of turning it in. It's not like it's BS work, but we're just kind of testing out the waters, right? A lot of this is just me starting it, right? Getting a good first impression on like what this is, getting a good feel. But for everybody that listened, I really appreciate you guys. And if this wasn't entertaining and if it wasn't funny in some way, if you didn't get informed some way today, if you didn't feel like I violated the rules of political correctness, let me know. My email is in the description, the Luke Pipala Show @gmail.com. And if I didn't change your day or make your day a little bit better today, then I did something wrong. Let's be honest. So let me know about it. Ask me questions. Tell me what I need to do better. Whatever it is, you guys are the best. So, like I said, hopefully you found what you were looking for, right? If you're not politically correct, right? If you're looking to be entertained. If your husband is not satisfying you, then holy shit, you've come to the right place. I met a MILF the other night. Probably 2 weeks ago. She loved me. She danced with me. We danced together. We exchanged phone numbers, right? So if you don't have that same sort of passion when it comes to listening to this podcast, then I'm doing you a disservice. So do me a favor. Tell me what I need to do. You guys have been great. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy Labor Day. And take care.